This is the newsroom for today, Monday, November 22, 2020. We're broadcasting to you on E1, Scar TV, NTN, and Tarsi TV in Bartica. These are the headlines. A woman stabs her brother to death as she tried to prevent him from beating his wife. Minister Ben tells citizens to record their interactions with the police to stop corruption.
Every person who engages with the police on the road to make an audio or video taping of that engagement.
The government puts a halt on the scrap metal trade. Restaurants and interior lodges plead for COVID-19 measures to be eased to allow them a chance to breathe. And in sport, Darren Bravo aims to strengthen the troublesome top order of the West Indies. With the news, I'm Neil Marks. We're glad you could join us. A Parika East Bank Esukova mother of 3 young children has been arrested for murder after she stabbed her brother Sunday evening during a heated argument when she tried to stop him from beating his reputed wife. Dead is fisherman Alex Morgo, 20, of Parika Bagdam. His sister, 31-year-old Lashina Morgo, was arrested by police. She had the knife she used to kill her brother in her handbag. In a telephone interview with the newsroom on Monday, the dead man's reputed wife, Joyanne Atkinson, recounts the tragic events and said it was a result of alcohol. Lashina had been drinking for hours prior to stabbing her brother.
Well, yesterday morning we come out to Parika like 10 o'clock. And me and she went out to the market. And she come by her friend and spend a little time. And then when we went in back like 5 o'clock, he asked me, because me is the first person gone upstairs in the house, he asked me if this is the rice when we cook for you. I tell, well, I feel like I thought I get something fall in the food, and he see the rice on the cook. So I asked him what happened to the rice. What happened to the rice on the cook? He said, feel it. He said, feel the rice. And indeed I feel the rice, and the rice be a little hard. So me and he had little, he chopped me then, and me fall down, and then he kicked me, and his sister come upstairs, and his sister asked her and tell why you hitting the lady for? She not drink, is me drink. The girl not drink nothing. He turn and tell she must leave he alone, and she must get out of his business, because it's not she and he, it's me and he. And then she rush up to he for fight. And he choked she off, and he, because he never got no alcohol in he, but she had alcohol in he. So she and he had it, he left me off now, and she and he had it out a little time. And then she choked you out to the veranda, and when she choked you out to the veranda, he been coming in back to the house, inside the house. And when he been coming in back to the house now, then she juke you with the knife. I feel sorry for she, yes, because through alcohol makes she do that. Because if she not had alcohol, she could have never do that.
Okay.
I'm sorry for she, plus I'm sorry for she children, because I got children too. I got children for another man, not for you. And I feel because he hard for no, you got to leave your children them, and she got to punish him there or whatever, she got to spend her time. So I feel hard about that. And plus my last, you got stuff. There was no one used to live with.
In an effort to clamp down on corruption in the Guyana Police Force, Minister of Home Affairs Robeson Ben is urging the public to record their engagements with the police, either by video or audio. The minister made the comment at the launch of the National Road Safety Week on Monday. He further urged that recordings also be made while at police stations. This, Minister Ben explained, is also part of efforts to create a new culture and vision for the force, or to reinforce the motto, service and protection.
We have issues of poor parking. We have issues of very poor engagement with many of the police, or some of the police, with the traveling public. We have the ongoing criticisms of bribery on the road. We have the situation where people are attacking and fighting the policemen, even the traffic police, men and women. We'd like this to stop. I want to appeal for both of those issues to be brought under control. The issues of corruption besmirch the entire police force and the traffic department. And we have to get on top of this issue. I've asked and I want that every person who engages with the police on the road to make an audio or video taping of that engagement. And if there's a problem, to bring it to the attention of the ministry. That's what I want. I want also in the police stations to have audio and video recording of the engagement between the public and the police. I've spoken about our having new police. We want a new culture and we want a new vision and we want safety. I believe that our police have to be less aggressive, more empathetic, more open-minded, more polite.
The tourism industry says it stands ready to reopen the majority of its lodges and tourism destination facilities responsibly and safely in conformity with the COVID-19 protocols in place. But it is making an appeal to the authorities to remove some of the restrictions in place to allow these businesses to prove that they can operate safely. Kurt Campbell reports.
Days before another revision to the existing COVID-19 emergency measures, the Tourism and Hospitality Association of Guyana (TAG) is appealing to the government and the COVID-19 task force for more consideration to be given to the operation of businesses across the sector. President of TAG, Mitra Ramkumar, believes that many of the existing restrictions imposed on tourism businesses, particularly lodges, are a disservice to the tourism industry.
We are appealing for a chance to breathe. We are saying that safety is the number one watchword. It's the key word for us because we'll be putting ourselves at risk. But we believe that shutting down is not an option because it is not sustainable and you have to get a chance to breathe. The industry has been shut down now for 8 months.
The COVID-19 measures in the official gazette addresses protocols to be followed to operate a business during the pandemic, but Ramkumar says the tourism sector has been singled out in many instances. He's particularly against the restrictions imposed on interior lodges, but more specifically, he's calling for a relaxation on the number of persons at a table in restaurants. TAG believes the tables 6 feet apart and persons 3 feet apart measures are fine. However, the association believes more than 4 persons at a table should be allowed. It was noted that this measure is affecting the restaurant industry, with Guyana currently observing Tourism Awareness Month and Restaurant Week. Although TAG would like this measure relaxed, Ramkumar maintains that persons should not engage in irresponsible and lawless behavior.
So all of these protocols are in the Gazette and it covers for businesses. So why single out tourism not to follow the same protocol to operate? We need to get a chance to breathe. So this is my appeal to the task force, to the persons responsible, to look at tourism. We are not irresponsible people.
Ramkumar also said that there are thousands of people who depend on the industry for survival. The TAG president said there are examples across the region to prove that the industry can operate safely. Kurt Campbell, Newsroom.
When the newsroom returns, the government puts a halt on the scrap metal trade, and despite the curfew and other restrictions, the country records an alarming increase in fatal accidents. You're watching the newsroom. Despite lockdowns and curfews to curb the spread of COVID-19, the death rate from road accidents has seen an alarming increase over the past year. During the launch of the National Road Safety Week on Monday, it was revealed that road fatalities saw an increase of 37% in 2020. Evidence shows that the majority of the accidents are caused by speeding, driving under the influence of alcohol, and being on cell phones while driving.
The theme for this year's National Road Safety Week is Stop Speeding, Don't Drink and Drive, Stay Alive. With a 37% increase in fatal road accidents this year, the authorities are calling on road users to change the current culture and observe the road safety rules. Traffic Chief Acting Superintendent Ramesh Ashram, during the launch of National Road Safety Week Monday at the Parliament Park in Georgetown, provided a breakdown on the fatalities this year.
For 2020, there is 115 accidents resulting in 125 deaths. Out of these deaths, 5 are children. Compared to 2019, where there were 84 accidents resulted in 94 deaths, of which 8 were children. Out of those accidents, a significant amount were caused as a result of speeding, coupled with drinking and driving.
To date, the Traffic Force Department, through its enforcement program, has been able to charge 46,266 persons for not adhering to the traffic rules. 19,179 were charged for exceeding speed limits, 786 were charged for driving under the influence of alcohol, 986 charged for failure to wear safety belts, and 1,924 charged separately each for breaching traffic light signals and being on their phones. Minister of Home Affairs Robinson Ben further said that statistics reveal that during the weekends between the hours of 6 p.m. and 12 a.m. is when most accidents occur.
Presence of adequate numbers of traffic police on the roads at these times has to be addressed. So it is clear, based on the statistics that have been provided to me, I didn't generate them myself, that at those times you have fatal accidents, and that at those times, from observation, we need to have a greater presence of policing, of engagement, of intervention from the traffic police and others. It is clear too that motorcyclists and bicyclists make up disproportionate numbers of victims.
The activities scheduled for National Road Safety Week include distribution of helmets, high visibility vests, and reflector lights to motorcyclists and cyclists found without any of these items, a motorcycle education awareness campaign as majority of the accidents involved motorcyclists this year, a prize-giving ceremony for a minibus competition, a symposium with the Ghana Association of Professional Engineers, and the launch of the Defensive Road Use Program. National Road Safety Week starts November 23rd and ends November 30th. Reporting for the newsroom, I am Isanella Patwo.
As a result of the massive drug bust in Belgium, with a quantity of cocaine found in a container of scrap metal in a vessel that sailed from Guyana earlier this month, the authorities here have put a halt to the trade until there is a policy reform to properly monitor the scrap metal business. This is according to Minister of Home Affairs Robinson Ben, who provided the media with an update at the sidelines of an event in Georgetown on Monday. A number of exporters are suffering while investigations continue for the local shipper Marlon Primo, who remains in hiding. Head of the Customs Anti-Narcotics Unit, Kanu James Singh, further told the newsroom that they have requested the assistance of international counterparts in an effort to locate Primo. The Kanu head said while there is no record of him leaving Guyana through any official port of entry, they are exploring every possible option.
The Kanu are working on it. They have quite a bit of information which I cannot divulge. I had a meeting with some scrap metal traders last week who were anxious to get back into business, and I said that we couldn't support that position because new protocols will have to be put into place, and some joint arrangements have to come into place between the Kanu, the GRA, and others in respect of the surveillance on the containers, the packing of the containers, and the movement of the containers from the place of scanning to the port where they are loaded onto the vessels.
Meanwhile, 3 employees from the Guyana Revenue Authority and the broker who were arrested in connection with the local investigation have all been released from custody. The Belgian Times reported the drug bust as the largest in the world, with an estimated street value of 900 million euros. The ship left Guyana on September 25th and was opened in Belgium on October 27. The illegal substance was disguised as scrap metal and placed inside a steel container, which was in turn packed into a sea container and loaded into a transatlantic vessel. Local authorities found that the ship stopped in Guadeloupe for a few days. Director of Prisons Gladwin Samuels has recommended the use of a tracking device or ankle bracelets to reduce the overcrowding in the prison system. The majority of the prisoners on remand are there because prosecutors fear they will not show up for their next court date. However, with the electronic monitoring system in place, these persons will be restricted to a certain jurisdiction and be forced to return to court. Bibi Katoon explains.
The overcrowding at the prisons has been an ongoing problem, which is further worsened by frequent fires set by inmates at the facilities when they have grievances about the way they are treated. Director of Prisons Gladwin Samuels on Monday recommended the use of an electronic tag which is fitted onto persons' ankles with a tracking device to ensure they don't skip their court dates instead of placing them in prisons. Speaking at a press conference on the Inter-American Development Bank-funded Justice Reform Project, Samuels disclosed that there are 1,884 prisoners in the system, which was built for about 1,300 persons.
If I'm to make a recommendation, in light of the challenges I have heard put forward as it relates to why alternative sentencing is not used as it should, I would wish to propose that the necessary law amendments be looked at so that Guyana can utilize electronic monitoring. There are a number of persons who are currently in prison, especially as it relates to persons who are charged for narcotics-related offenses. We have 744 prisoners, or 39.5%, who are there as pre-trial detainees, whether they are remanded or they are awaiting trial. To further break that down, we have 340 prisoners who are currently remanded and 404 prisoners who are awaiting trial.
Samuels, in a subsequent interview with the Newsroom, pointed out that majority of the prisoners on remand are there because prosecutors fear that they will not show up for their next court date. However, with the electronic monitoring system is in place, these persons will be restricted to a certain jurisdiction and be forced to return to court. He said the law first needs to be changed to make provisions for the technology after which they can be procured. Attorney General Anil Nandlal agreed that the use of pretrial detention worsens overcrowding in the prisons and there is need for alternatives. He disclosed that Cabinet has approved changes to the current Law Reform Commission.
I have taken to Cabinet and Cabinet has approved certain amendments to the Law Reform Commission Act that will see the appointments of persons other than lawyers, persons who are trained, for example, in finance, persons who are trained in natural sciences, persons who are trained in social sciences, persons who are trained in law enforcement, and of course, persons who are trained in law and who are former judges.
In 2016, the IDB provided Guyana with $8 million to help overcome prison overcrowding by reducing pretrial detentions and increasing the use of alternative sentencing, among other measures. The program is designed to complement the previously approved Citizen Security Program targeting high-crime neighborhoods. Bibi Katoon, Newsroom.
More news ahead. Stay with us. You're watching the Newsroom. The government is investigating the allocation of lands by the Guyana Lands and Surveys Commission for below market price and signing several open-ended memorandum of understanding where the exact plots of land were not identified. At the sidelines of an event on Monday, Attorney General Anil Nandlal explained that the lands were supposed to go through a bidding process.
State lands are administered by His Excellency the President, who normally delegates it by an instrument to the Commission of Lands and Surveys. So that commissioner only has the powers that would have been delegated to him by the President. Now, when one examines Mr. Ben's instrument, he was never given the power to issue titles for lands. And he has issued titles for various pieces of lands throughout Georgetown and right across the country. So all those transactions are illegal and unlawful. And then what the review is picking up is some very, very strange procedures. First of all, we observe that there is no public procurement, public notification exercise. So persons have received lands and no one knows how they knew where these lands were and to apply for them, and these lands are available for disposal. So that's the first thing. Secondly, these lands, some of them have not yet been identified, but a document is entered into called a MOU, a Memorandum of Understanding, and a huge sum of money is paid. And the MOU says that the person will get a lease for an unidentified plot of land somewhere in Ogle, for example. I've never seen a transaction like that.
The Ghana Sugar Corporation, GuySuCo, has rehired a total of 690 persons to work on 3 closed estates as the corporation pushes ahead with a plan to reopen them late 2022 to early 2023. Kurt Campbell reports.
Already at the Rose Hall estate, some 270 persons have been hired to do preliminary work, while over at Skeldon, 226 persons were hired and 194 at Enmore. But while this number is encouraging, it is a small percentage of the more than 30,000 workers who will need to be hired before the estates are returned to full operations. In his first press engagement since taking over the lead role at GuySuCo 9 weeks ago, Acting Chief Executive Officer Sesnarayan Singh said the corporation has been stalled in its rehiring process across the 3 estates, Rosehall, Enmore and Skeldon, because of a lack of equipment. GuySuCo has already spent $126 million from a $3 billion subvention it received from the government to procure the necessary materials and equipment needed across the 3 estates to commence the process of reopening. Singh explained that these purchases were done through an accelerated procurement process to ensure that the estates have the required tools in the shortest possible time. In addition to the $126 million, GuySuCo is looking to spend an additional $1.2 billion to purchase some 44 tractors. Singh said the corporation had initially approached the private sector with an interest to rent, but with a less than satisfactory response, it had to go the route of procuring its sugar-specific tractors. He said the same brand of tractors was previously used by GuySuCo under the brand name Cameco, which have now morphed into the Game Equipment brand. These tractors were last used by GuySuCo back in the mid-1990s, according to the corporation's management. Singh explained that the tractors were necessary to commence the tilling process of sugarcane.
Tilling is everything in the sugar industry. If we cannot till, we cannot produce sugar. And I'll give you a live example of what is happening at Albion. Albion's supposed to be having 16 functional tilling tractors. They currently have 8 half-functional tractors. And the tilling operation right now across the industry in 2020 is at a 40% of budget. So we basically, when we're supposed to be doing 20% of the industry every year, we have done about 7 to 8% of the industry.
The 3 estates, which are now being reopened by the People's Progressive Party government, are Rose Hall, Skeldon and Enmore. The Wales estate is not being reopened. The government is pursuing investments in various areas to utilize the assets and lands of that estate. Kurt Campbell, Newsroom.
In an effort to strengthen the prosecution arm of the Ghana Police Force, negotiations are ongoing to train persons who have completed their Bachelor of Law degrees and have them trained, Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs Anil Nandlal said on Monday. He said a program is being developed for the University of Guyana to begin the 1-year prosecutor's course. He said under the Inter-American Development Bank funded program to reform the justice system, a consultancy is being sought for the course outline. Nandlal said trained prosecutors will be able to take advantage of the laws relating to alternative sentencing and provide better representation for victims in court.
The rationale is that if a policeman who enters the police force and these are the matriculate requirements for entry, a sound secondary education, and receives all but 6 months to 12 months prosecutorial training, has been able to do a fairly reasonable job as prosecutors over the past 50 years or more. We believe that a law graduate who from the inception would have had to have minimum 5 CXC or 3 CXC and 2 A levels, advanced levels, to have entered the university in the first place and then graduate with a Bachelor of Laws degree by reason of logic, by reason of pure academic qualifications, such a person ought to be able to do a better job than a policeman who have come out of the circumstances that I've described. And currently, negotiations have begun with the University of Guyana to do a recognized 1-year prosecutorial program which will be certified in the end.
2 prisoners escaped from the Lusignan prison at the weekend, but Director of Prisons Gladwin Samuels has said the CCTV camera at the facility did not cover the area where the prisoners escaped. He also said there is a constant issue with staff shortage at the facility, which on the night had 30% of the actual number of staff needed to man the prison. In a separate interview, Minister of Home Affairs Robson Ben said there's poor administrative systems and corrupt officers at the facility.
If you look at a population of in excess of 500 prisoners, ideally, you should have more than 25 staff on duty.
How is the situation
How
now?
much do you have?
In terms of staff on duty?
On the night in question, it was about 30% of that.
Generally, that's the amount that you will have at the prison at any given time?
On most occasions. Because the thing is, even though you do assessment of the staff you seek to deploy them as best as possible, there are a number of issues that would affect the number of staff that are available to work at the prison. One, you have persons who have to be given off duty. You have persons who may report sick. Several times we have prisoners in hospital who we have to provide staff to supervise. When you take all of these factors into consideration, coupled with our already limited staff, it further erodes the amount of staff you have available to cover the prison facility. Again, I will say clearly that I'm not using this as any excuse. We have to make best uses of the resources we have available to ensure that this nation is safe.
Again, we had previously an escape of 3 persons, 2 of whom have been recaptured. And we have actually now, it's not 3, but 2 persons who are out. A manhunt is on the way. I want to appeal to those persons to hand themselves into the nearest police station with their family member, so that no harm comes to them one way or the other. And I want to encourage their family members and their friends not to provide them any aid or succor. So the issues of people escaping from the prisons has to do with poor administrative issues at the prison. There are issues of corruption at the level of the prison officers.
Murder accused 48-year-old Philip Jogru of Good Intent Leg 1, Region 3, and convicted 40-year-old Donald Baird of Hardina Street, Wortmanville, Georgetown, escaped from the Lusignan prison Holden Bay on Saturday night using a rope made from bedsheets. When the newsroom returns, the financial, weather and bridge reports along with sport. It's time for sport, and we begin with cricket. Batsman Darren Bravo is hoping his return to the West Indies can help to lay a solid platform for the middle order to build on. Akeem Green reports.
On West Indies Test tour to England in July, the middle order and low order were spending more time in the middle than the top 3 batsmen. Opener John Campbell and number 3 Shea Hope struggled to lay any solid platform for the team. Bravo, who is arguably one of the best batsmen in the region, makes a return to a country where he has reaped good success in the past. Speaking at Sunday's virtual presser, he indicated it is important that he lays a solid platform.
For any innings to be successful, you definitely need to have a very, very good foundation. I think, being batting at number 3, it's important that I sort of set that foundation right for the middle order. I don't really want to expose the middle order too early, especially to the new ball. But having said that, I think the likes of Ruston Chase and even recently Shuma Brooks have been playing pretty well. So I'm quite confident that the guys will do well. But being a senior player, as I mentioned before, it's important for me to set the tone, show the right examples and stuff like that. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting series. I believe we just need to back ourselves as much as possible and just believe in our ability. And as I said previously, it's about time that we definitely show what our wood are.
Bravo's only played 5 tests over the last 18 months, following a 2.5-year break from the game over fallout with then Cricket West Indies president Dave Cameron. He's only averaged 13 since his return to Test cricket, and it led to his axing for the one-off test against Afghanistan last November. Prior to the 7-pole exile, many felt he was a key cog for West Indies Test batting. According to him, there is no undying need to make up for lost time, but rather to make the best of what he can now.
What is gone is already gone. I'm not really focusing on that per se, but I think I'm at a stage now where I understand my game much more. Obviously more mature in the way I think and stuff like that. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'm excited. And as I said, I think it's about time that I really start to get the runs flowing once more.
Over the weekend, Bravo cracked a superb 100 as West Indies dominated day 2 of their 3-day warm-up match against New Zealand A in Queenstown. He made 135 of 214 balls, striking 13 fours and 5 sixes. West Indies are preparing to face New Zealand in 2 test matches in December. Prior to that, the two sides will clash in 3 T20s from November 27th to the 30th. For the newsroom, Akim Green.
And now the rest of the sport news with Avinash Ramzan. I'm Neil Marks. Take care.
We tell you now that West Indies and New Zealand A played to a draw in their 3-day warm-up game at the John Davies Oval in Queenstown. West Indies resuming the final day on 329 for 6 in response to New Zealand A score of 308 for 3 declared, made 366 all out. And Nkrumah Bonner made 24 and Shane Mosley stuck around for 53 balls for his 11 not out. Darren Bravo made 135 on day 2, Shamar Brooks scored 80, Craig Braffett 47 and Ruston Chase 42. Bowling for New Zealand A, Jacob Duffy had 3 for 49 and Blair Tickner 2 for 66. New Zealand A batting a second time lost first innings centurion Rachin Ravindra for 10 at 27 for 1, bowled by Shannon Gabriel. Will Young and Devon Conway then batted to the close with New Zealand A 124 for 1. Young made 64 not out and Conway 41. West Indies are preparing to face New Zealand in 2 test matches in December. Prior to that, they square off in 3 T20s from November 27 to 30. Now, Cricket West Indies President Ricky Skerritt has given Bangladesh hope that they will be touring the country in January 2021 with the best available West Indies team, also hinting that the 3-test series might be reduced to 2, keeping the players' requirements in mind. According to the ICC Future Tours program, the tour was slotted for January 2021, featuring 3 test matches, 3 ODIs and 2 T20s, with the test matches part of the World Test Championship. By the time this month ends, Bangladesh will be among the few full-member teams to have not played international cricket since March. On Wednesday, the BCB Chief Executive Nizamuddin Chowdhury said in a press conference that the CWI had requested 1 fewer test match due to the length of the bio bubble in Bangladesh. Skerritt also said they want to ensure that the BCB followed the recognized worldwide health protocols that the West Indies team had experienced in England after they became the first international cricket team to tour during the pandemic. Locally now, Blairmont Blazers took the long journey from West Berbice to East Bank Essequibo and ensured they did not return empty-handed after defeating Cold Fusion Cricket Club by 6 wickets. Akeem Green witnessed the action and filed this report.
That was Javed Kareem hitting one of his back-to-back sixes, which stole the game from host Cold Fusion when the equation was 23 required from 12 balls. Played at the Tushin Community Centre ground, the possibility of any cricket during the morning hours seemed highly unlikely due to rain, but the riveting contest was produced late afternoon. The organisers, who played the match under the COVID-19 guidelines and also distributed masks to all in attendance, managed to salvage a 12-over contest. Cold Fusion, who for the neighbouring village of Zealot, took first strike and posted what looked to be an extremely daunting total of 142 for 7. In response, the West Berbice unit, led by a rapid 23 balls 6-4 from Zamir Nazir, reached the target with 5 balls to spare. Nazir struck 3 fours and 8 sixes in his exhibition of 6 hitting. Opener Keon Jawahir played second fiddle with an unbeaten 24, while other significant knocks came from Kareem 16 not out and Sion Glasgow 14. Earlier, senior national player Kevon Bodie smacked the first ball for 4 through square leg and kept under attack during a power pack 31. He struck 4 fours and a 6 until he was run out via direct hit from Sion Glasgow. The hosts lost wickets in quick succession until national youth player Andrew Yesu played a solid hand of 40. He hit 3 fours and 3 sixes, which held Cold Fusion together and helped them progress from 60 for 5 to 101 for 6. The small and spaced gathering of vocal villagers were then treated to an exhibition of 6 hitting from Ganesh Narayan, who struck 4 consecutive massive sixes in his unbeaten 14-ball 29. 21 in extras and 12 from skipper Tevinja Mangra got Cool Fusion up to their total. Left arm pacer Chris Harry took 2 for 16, while there were wickets apiece for Nigel Deodat and Dimitri Cameron. Deputy Commander for Region 3, Darren Bravo, who organised the match, expresses gratitude to Blairmont for making the trip and for the players in producing an exciting match.
We visited Blairmont a couple of times and we were well hosted. So I feel I am indebted in some way to have Blairmont team here again. Blairmont is a very strong team, a very unique leadership. They so it is always progressing. And by bringing Blairmont here, I want my team to copy some of the attitude from the management and the players of Blairmont too. And they are the stronger team. I am the underdog in this match, but we are putting up a fight. But yeah, that is the reason why I call on Blairmont. Another thing, one of my good sponsors, Mr. Archie Mohan, the president of the Hawaiian Arctic Sports Club in Scarborough, Canada. He is here on vacation, and I want him to witness for the first time a match involving my team, who we have been supporting for all these years.
For the newsroom, Akim Green.
Cycling news now. We could breathe again. That was the reaction of President of the Guyana Cycling Federation, Lyndon Dowridge, on the return of competitive cycling on Sunday morning. After about 8 months of dormancy owing to the coronavirus pandemic, cycling was granted permission to resume, something Dowridge and the fraternity have welcomed with open arms. The Federation received permission from the relevant authorities to host the 3-time trial events, which would take the format of a series. The first one on Sunday morning was from Sparendam to the Kitty Roundabout and back to the COVID-19 hospital at Liliandal. President of the Federation, Lyndon Dowridge, speaking to Newsroom after the race, was understandably optimistic to see riders back on their bikes.
How does it feel to get cycling back up and running?
We could breathe again, but it's not the full thing. We still have our limitations. We will be limited to individual time trial events only because of the prevailing COVID situation. And of course, getting this together itself was a tough job, but thanks to the quick cooperation of the police commissioner, the Minister of Sport, and the COVID task force.
Dowridge said on the normal circumstances, the Federation would only need permission from the divisional commander for use of the roadways, but with COVID-19 measures in place, they had to seek clearance at the level of the commissioner and other relevant government agencies.
Well, we got permissions from everybody, and our sponsors quickly came on board. Right, that is, we have the overseas Guyana cycling arm, right, Zoom, and the PBS professional services, right. We intend to bring off one in every county. We're going to go to New Amsterdam and then to Linden, all right? But it's not a conventional master art, it's time trialing only. which in itself is going to bring out a different style of riding in our athletes, hopefully, when we start back our conventional master art events. Because there are a lot of guys in the peloton who are strong enough to ride by themselves, but they're just scared because of practice of doing so. So I'm hoping that this style of events would bring out some confidence in them. So we should see a little more aggressive riding in the peloton when we start back our conventional racing.
The president said the federation is keen on promoting safety and will continue to do its part in ensuring that cyclists and officials adhere to the COVID-19 measures. One way of doing so is by hosting the individual time trial events.
Yes, because in the conventional mass art races, we would have groups or bunches, or the peloton as it's referred to. So men are jostling and riding close to each other. So if anybody, you know what happens. But with this event, we're going 2 minutes apart, which is 2 minutes apart at this time is almost a mile apart. And we did that also for safety, because usually we would do a minute apart. But we don't want a situation where now you have traffic on hold at a junction and the users getting nervous to come across and somebody disobeys the police, and then we have a situation.
Over 30 competitors were involved in the opening time trial, and Dowridge said he was impressed with the turnout. Reporting for Newsroom, I'm Avinash Ramzan. And the experienced Marlon Fishy Williams clocked the fastest time in the opening race of a 3-part individual time trial series on Sunday morning. More in this report. Competing from Sparendam to the Kitty Roundabout and back to the COVID-19 hospital at Liliendal for the finish, Williams was timed at 11 minutes 18.39 seconds. That time was marginally better than Jamal John, who came in at 11 minutes 26.04 seconds. Brighton John was third with 11 minutes 38.70 seconds. The top 10 was completed by Marcus Keeler, Kwame Ridley, Alex Mendez, Nigel London, Balram Narain, Paul de Nobrega, and Raymond Newton in that order. The race started in overcast condition and ended in a heavy downpour, but that didn't put a damper on proceedings as riders and officials were eager to resume competitive action after 8 months of dormancy. A total of 33 riders participated in the event, which was held under strict COVID-19 guidelines. All cyclists had to undergo a temperature test, while face masks were available at the start line. Cyclists will now turn their attention to the next 2 stages in Berbice on November 29 and Linden on December 6. The top 3 of each time trial will be rewarded along with the overall top 6. The event was sponsored by Zune Online Shopping, Star Party Rentals, Professional Business Services, and Friends of Guyana's Cycling in the Diaspora. Reporting for Newsroom, I'm Avinash Ramzan. And with that, we've come to the end of the news for this evening. My name is Avinash Ramzan. Thanks for watching.